The entire Chicago Police Department has turned on the mayor Brandon Johnson after he called them a sickness that doesn't help keep the community safe. He also calls ICE agents slave masters, a nice switch up from Nazi Gestapo, who are separating families in the name of cruelty. Even after an ICE facility in Texas was shot up, he continues to intentionally use inflammatory, exaggerated, violence-inciting rhetoric because, newsflash, that's the point. Democrats are trying to stop the enforcement of federal immigration law through violent resistance because they don't care about the safety, well-being, or prosperity of American citizens, only illegal immigrants. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I don't know if it's too early to say this, but we are on the road to 500,000 subscribers. When you guys smash the like button, it helps out a ton. And when you guys watch the video all the way through, it helps out even more. So keep up the support. I really appreciate it. But let's hear Brandon Johnson compare ICE agents to slave masters.
Ripping families apart. It's not the first time this country has done this. And this is why it's important that as black and brown folks, we stand together. Because I come from a lineage which this country ripped black mothers and black fathers away from black children to build this capitalistic society. And they're doing it again. As I've said before, this is not hyperbolic. There are those in this country who still believe that the Civil War went the wrong way. And I just want immigrant community, whether you're documented or not, that this country has done these type of acts before, and that there are people who understand that. And because we do understand that, it's why I'm able to stand so boldly and so firmly in opposition to what this government is doing. Ripping families apart while abdicating their responsibility to actually fix our broken immigration system.
How come any time an American citizen is arrested and goes to jail, they never characterize it as ripping them away from their families? It's only when illegal immigrants are arrested that they enact this massive moral outrage and start comparing law enforcement to slave owners. It doesn't matter to Brandon Johnson that a huge percentage of ICE agents are Hispanic. He's just a despicable race hustler who seizes on any opportunity to push a narrative that we're all under the boot of white supremacy because it makes him feel like a virtuous freedom fighter. His language of black and brown communities is inherently racist at its core. You're lumping people into categories by skin color and then broadly attributing characteristics to them and viewing them as a monolith, not an individual. Literally the opposite of don't judge me by my skin color, judge me by the content of my character. But Brandon Johnson thrives on furthering the racial divide in America, claiming everything in America is racist and evil, and that's why despite Chicago being the murder capital of America for 13 years straight, he calls law enforcement a sickness that actually doesn't make the community safer. Take a look.
The fact of the matter is we are driving violence down on this city, and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities.
Chicago's police department is already understaffed, and this kind of rhetoric coming from the city's mayor only furthers the death spiral. When police feel like the city's mayor hates them and doesn't appreciate their service, why would they continue to risk their lives to try and keep the city safe if their efforts are just going to be in vain? Why would they continue to put themselves in harm's way and take bad guys off the street if the bad guys are just released back into the public because to put them in jail would be racist? And then they quit, which leads to more understaffing, which ultimately leads to crime becoming more prevalent. And then citizens with means leave the city because it's crime infested, which leads to less tax revenue for the city, which leads to less money being spent on law enforcement, and the cycle just continues. But let's hear Chicago's state attorney, who's backed and endorsed by the police, respond to Brandon Johnson's comment calling them a sickness.
The law enforcement is a sickness comment took off in some conservative and pro-police circles on social media, even prompting Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke.
The statement was disappointing and disheartening. We are part of law enforcement. The state's attorney's office is the prosecution arm, and that is clearly law enforcement.
To voice her own outrage during a sit-down interview with me on a different topic.
I have 1,300 people who work in this office who are dedicated public servants, who get up every single day to make sure that they keep women safe from domestic violence, to make sure that we are doing our jobs in protecting children from being sex trafficked, to make sure that we are prosecuting murder cases. What we do every day does not call for our eradication.
When she won her race in November, O'Neill Burke was considered the law and order-focused candidate and was backed by police.
The only people who don't appreciate law enforcement are liberal hippies, criminals, and anarchists, which coincidentally describes the entire Democrat Party. Normal people appreciate law enforcement putting their lives on the line to make our lives safer, especially in a city like Chicago, which has the nickname Chirac because it's compared to a war zone. But listen to this reporter ask Brandon Johnson, since you hate law enforcement so much and they're so ineffective, are you willing to get rid of the 150 officers on your own private security detail?
And your wife, Stacy, be willing to cut your security detail from 150 sworn police officers and put those police officers back on the street where they can protect real Chicagoans?
So we're very proud of the work that we're doing collectively to ensure that our police officers have the resources that they need. As I've said repeatedly, it's policing and affordable housing, it's policing and youth employment, it's policing and mental and behavioral health care services. It's going to take all of us, the business community, the philanthropic community. We're working collectively with Cook County government, the state of Illinois, the state's attorney as well. The volume of cases that we are pushing towards the state's attorney so that we can continue to close out these cases as we really drill down with our detectives division as they solve crime, as they get the evidence over to the state's attorney, gives her the ability to make the prosecution so that we can continue to deter crime in the city of Chicago. That's a holistic approach that we're taking. Thank you.
Cops for me, but not for thee. These people are such hypocrites. They don't even believe their own ideology that they're pushing on everybody else. I don't know how the residents of Chicago elected this idiot with his stupid Roscoe Dash haircut from 2010. He gives these unintelligible Kamala Harris word salad responses to literally everything, and the only time he's ever clear and concise about what he actually thinks is when he's talking about how racist something is or how evil white people are. He claims to be this big supporter of black people, even though like 90% of all murder victims in Chicago are black, and 50% of murders in Chicago going unsolved. He doesn't think more law enforcement would help people. We just need more youth employment opportunities. Here he is doing damage control after the massive backlash from Chicago PD.
Hoping to clarify what Mayor Johnson meant by law enforcement is a sickness, we asked him today.
The people who heard my statement, they know exactly what I meant and what I'm talking about. They're using this moment to politicize, to justify their own insecurities. I'm not going to stand for it, I'm not going to take it, and neither will the residents of this fine city.
Johnson explained that, quote, the addiction of jails and incarceration is one that we have to wean ourselves off of. This time leaving out a reference to law enforcement specifically.
When you just responded, though, you didn't loop in law enforcement this time. So did you not intend to use the
I said that law
enforcement?
enforcement, here's what I've said, though. Law enforcement alone does not keep communities safe. Law enforcement agrees with me on that. How do you send police officers into communities when there's little access to affordable housing? What is a police officer's responsibility to hunger?
The Democrat philosophy that crime is a result of poverty isn't just insulting to poor people, but it creates an unsolvable chicken and egg problem. Does high poverty lead to high crime, or does high crime lead to high poverty? But what they refuse to accept is you can never fix the poverty problem if you don't fix the crime problem first. Yes, more youth employment opportunities would help. More grocery stores in the community would help. More investment into these areas would help. But nobody Nobody is going to invest money to open up a business if it's just going to get robbed and terrorized. Nobody's going to spend money opening community centers if they're just going to get shot up. Nobody's going to spend money repairing buildings if the only people who are willing to live in these crime-ridden areas are people who are going to trash your property. That is why law and order is one of the fundamental reasons for the success and prosperity of America. There's a reason people invest money here and not in Sudan. And that same principle applies on a local level. Democrats may be fine with performative virtue signaling, but the people you need to risk their capital to help uplift these areas certainly aren't. And while Brandon Johnson pretends to speak for the residents of Chicago with his 6% approval rating, the last thing I want to show you in this video is some actual residents on the street giving their opinion on the crime problem.
We want ICE to come. Please, everybody try to help Chicago and call ICE. The number is 866-DHS2-ICE. We are going to move our people away from this culture of liberal failure that has compromised our sovereignty and left the citizens of Chicago behind. Go Red.
I will tell you right now, I'm a person that lives on the south side of Chicago. Let's talk about what things that's happening in our neighborhood, but you want to put a Band-Aid and you want to act like this town is good. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how many people get killed in downtown Chicago every weekend. Don't board up things to put a Band-Aid on a crisis.
It's a shame. It's awful.
And Brandon Johnson doesn't do anything to stop it?
Brandon Johnson is not worth a quarter. He's not worth a quarter. Clean the city up and keep it clean. Don't make it look good. Don't put a facade on for the people that's coming here. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think he should have another term, period. I will never vote for him. Never.
Brandon Johnson claims to stand in solidarity with his fellow black people, but yet advocates and pushes for policies that directly harm them. The city is now bankrupt and running at a $1 billion deficit because they spent so much money on illegal aliens. Money that could have been spent on hiring more police, money that could have been spent improving the black community, money that could have been spent on his magical social programs, but instead he hides behind his skin color and calls anyone who dares to criticize him a racist, and actually ignores the plights of the black community and focuses exclusively on helping illegal immigrants, and then tells black people to shut up and accept it because they're both together in the fight against evil white supremacy. Cops are a sickness and don't keep the community safe, he says, while he has 150 officers on his private security detail. We don't have money to keep schools open in black neighborhoods, he says, as they reopen those same schools as migrant shelters. His comments are going to cause more police officers to quit, which is going to lead to more crime and only give Donald Trump more of a reason to send the National Guard into his city. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.